Okay. So if you could just tell me your name, your current leadership position, and how long you've been in a leadership role.
Yeah, my name is Joel Sherlow. My current position is Associate Creative Director. And leadership wise, this is the first kind of leadership position that I'm in, but I've been in leadership in my previous role as a senior designer for about 3 years. So,
Awesome.
different role.
Awesome. So with this position that you just moved into, the associate, I think it's a creative director role, did you prepare yourself in any certain way to move into the leadership position, whether it was, a certain work experience that you used to prepare for education, technical training? What did that look like for you?
Yeah, for me, the biggest thing is I had an opportunity to step into a leadership role. My boss away from our team for a while. So I was the most senior person designer on our team. And so I just had the opportunity to step in, and it was more natural for me to be able to do that. Uh,
Mhm.
so I didn't have too much preparation or any sort of yeah, it was kind of just an opportunity that presented itself, and I just took advantage of being able to do that, and my skill set suited that well.
Yeah. So you said your boss was out for a while. So did you end up kind of moving into that even informally before you were maybe named the director? So you took on those responsibilities anyway?
Yeah, for multiple months, it was me kind of stepping into that role. Part of her duties, not 100% of her duties, but part of them, certainly from the leadership of our immediate team, was the biggest change in my role, and then led to this future role that I'm in right now.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So what would you say is your leadership philosophy? What does leadership look like to you, and how do you describe your own philosophy for it?
I mean, the biggest thing that I'm trying to do as a leader is help equip my
Mhm.
team as I can to do the work that they're experts in. Our team has shifted a little bit as of late since our kind of our company part of our team started, and we started as more generalists, and now we're evolving into a little more specialists. So I think some of my goals is helping the people on our team do what they do well specifically,
Mhm.
instead of having them do other things necessarily that they can do. Maybe it's not their certain expertise. So learning more about the team and helping them do what they can do best, I think is yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Help and equip. That's great. So, with your organization, how do you set vision and then align them all to the vision that you are setting? How do you kind of get them on your train toward that shared vision with you?
Yeah, it's tricky from my position because the people that I'm leading were my peers previously.
Ah, yeah, that's tricky.
It's been a it's been a different transition to be able to help them. I think they look up to me, and they know that I have experience. I know that I have knowledge, but I think getting on board of my vision has been tricky because it's a little different than who was previously leading them.
Okay.
Uh, so it's been a lot of one-on-ones, really, to just kind of get a little bit of background from the team where everyone's feeling, so I
Hmm.
can make more broader decisions that could help our broader team. So I brought on 2 new hires recently, and got a general sense from some of the team members, but didn't totally let them kind of dictate things, but definitely want to have feedback from them. So I think it's definitely still an evolving what the vision is for me, for our individual team, and then working through different character qualities and different character traits of the team,
Right.
help them understand how to communicate that best. So I'm still learning and ways
Yeah.
to.
And it sounds like too, I mean, it sounds great that you're having those one-on-one conversations, so they
Yeah.
probably feel a lot more like they have some of that ownership as well. So
Yes. Yeah.
awesome. So kind of on that note, how do you motivate your organization? It might potentially be from that kind of one-on-one capacity, learning more about them. What does that look like for you to keep them motivated and engaged from day to day?
Yeah. So I definitely part of the one-on-ones, like learning what things that they're 100% passionate about, what things they're a little bit medium passionate about,
Right.
and helping. I'm responsible helping for align who's doing what on what project, and so we get so many different types of projects, and so I can generally understand what's our capacity and understand where people are at and where general interests are. I think other than that, understanding, um, yeah, kind of being able to switch up the team a little bit and have some different people working with each other, I think
Hmm.
helps keep it fresh.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Our team right now, we work in pods, and so we have two designers that stay with the same project manager, and they stay together. But sometimes it doesn't always. There's someone's lighter, someone's more busy, and so we try
Mhm.
to cross mix it up a bit, which I think helps that energizing aspect. And I think the other thing is I've been trying to empower them to take more um, kind of leadership on their own from the project perspective.
Okay.
So lead a certain
Mm.
conversation or present a certain piece of work, because my role technically would be to present most of the,
Right.
a lot of the designers are doing a lot of the work and really involved in it, so they have a little better broader understanding of why they chose this, why they did this, etc. And so empowering a little more kind of that confidence in being able to present your work, I've seen a little more like energized and kind of
Right.
inspiration from our team. So yeah, a couple of those things.
Yeah, and giving that exposure maybe that they haven't seen in the past. That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. So what does a typical day look like for you?
Pretty much since I've transitioned to this new role, it's really been a lot of internal meetings. So primarily working with our internal project management team to understand where projects are coming in, understand who is light and who can take on more work.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of I've been brought into a lot more business development meetings, so just understanding where certain clients are at, and then a lot of internal meetings with specific designers or design teams based on certain projects. So a lot of the time, I'm coming in to help give feedback or give thoughts on where we should like dig deep a little further, take back as far as certain directions,
Sure.
and kind of on where a specific piece of direction should be based on where we're at in that client. So a little bit of all those things, and then just a tiny bit of me actually doing any work that
Yeah.
I. So a lot of working with people, which has been a big transition for me.
Big shift. Yeah. For you in your last role, you were probably doing a lot more design work individually.
Yes.
Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot
I
more.
had two clients that were fairly demanding, but they were didn't have a ton of internal meetings. It was mostly me spending time working on my own or working with other designers.
Right.
A lot less client meetings, a lot less internal meetings. So it's really just been completely flipped.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Interesting. Kind of switching into a different direction. If you can think about a time when you were faced with failure, or maybe just in general, kind of how do you approach failure? And what steps did you take to remedy that situation? If it's a specific one, or maybe just a general approach to how you encounter failure and how you and move past failure.
Yeah, I mean, I can think of a couple, but I think one specifically, I've a bigger client that again I've been transitioning out of from being the main designer, and now into kind of overall leading this project. And there's been a couple things from that specific client that we've either kind of like misplaced or kind of lost a part of the timeline.
Yeah,
And a lot of that's been coming internally, discussing internally with our internal team, what's the best way to handle this with certain clients. Again, understanding where they're at from a financial standpoint from the client, where we're at on that actual time frame of the project,
hmm,
and then doing our best to have one-on-one meetings with a specific client to try to remedy that.
got it.
uh, Never always a easy clean cut remedy. I feel like we're always just kind of what's the best solution to kind of figure out. But I do think it's I've seen a lot more of us taking some frustration or frustrating pieces, handling that internally, and then just trying to broadly communicate what's the best way to handle that. But getting feedback from our business development team, we usually do because they're the ones that signed these projects, so they understand a little more of the
Mm, sure.
nuance of the client. And so yeah, a lot of bringing back internal, discussing, figuring out, getting internal thoughts, and then having some clean, concise way to start that conversation with the client and figure out
Yeah.
what.
Sounds like a lot of communication and opportunities for miscommunication along the way.
Oh yeah, oh
Is what is kind of what you're talking about in terms of where that seems to go wrong, which is a very common problem. So that's totally understandable.
yeah.
So what would you say is your most significant leadership lesson learned?
I don't know if I've had a lesson learned quite yet. I
Mhm.
feel I feel like I'm still learning in the sense of, yeah, how to be a good leader, how to be communication. I feel like is a big thing that I've been trying to work on because again, coming from previous role, I didn't have to communicate to a lot of different people
Yeah.
consistent things, whereas now I'm having to be very consistent with a lot of things. So even though maybe I haven't learned that lesson yet, I do know that that's going to be a piece of a big thing I'm definitely going to learn is how to be consistent in what I'm saying to multiple people and be consistent on, yeah, kind of the things I've promised or the things that I've agreed to do, or from the client side and the internal side. So I think I haven't learned the lesson yet, but I do think that's going to be the lesson that I'll learn when.
Yeah. Have you learned, since you're kind of in this transition, moving from more of a team member, team player to that leader, what would you say has been your biggest challenge in the transition so far?
Hmm. Yeah, I think I
If that's
think
not going.
I mean probably learning how to not feel like I'm kind of not taking advantage, but now I've stepped up as far as the evolution in my next role and kind of stepped up from broader people on my team, but also just being able to be still feel like I'm on the team and not that I'm kind of
Mm,
this on a higher level. And um, yeah, so I think just kind of balancing that, just
yeah.
still part of the team, but also realizing I am in a position to help make decisions and do a lot of this stuff, but also make sure I'm still kind of part of the team, working with the team, listening and doing a lot of that.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. We'll do one or two more. Um, what would you say is the most rewarding aspect? Like, you might not have one yet, but so far of your role as a leader.
I mean, I think from the empowering aspect, I've
Yeah.
already two younger designers, one an intern, one kind of a mid-level designer, but new to our team, has felt so each of them respectively have felt more confident in being able to
Mm,
do certain things if that's presenting work internally to our team or presenting work externally, and then just being more confident in their actual work. I think again, I don't think that I've been the one that's been doing that per se, but I've it's been cool to kind of see that from
yeah.
knowing I'm in a leadership position versus just being a peer previously,
Right.
giving opportunities to do that. So two people specifically have said, "Oh, I've been really excited to have the opportunity to present work or have the opportunity
Mm,
to on this
yeah,
project."
that's great.
So that I think that was really cool.
Awesome. Well, I think that's all I have for you today. Thanks for taking the time with me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.